sometimes it feels good to go back in time and appreciate what was. There's plenty of things from the old YouTube days that I could sit down and talk about in a video like this. Annoying Orange, Fred Figglehorn. Recently, I made a video essay about Smosh. But there's one OG YouTuber that we're going to talk about today that actually is still going pretty strong with his newest videos. Mr. Beast. No, it's Ray William Johnson. What about Ray, though, impacted my childhood? Well, it could be as simple as, oh, I found his videos funny, entertaining, and even addicting. Something about seeing what's trendy and hearing someone's reaction to what's trendy is fun. Yes, obvious factors like that can't go unnoticed with Ray, but it's much more than that. But like I said, the things I listed earlier can't go unnoticed. Ray's one of the OG faces you can think of when it comes to true YouTube personality. It's not as easy as it looks to crack up jokes and to make the facial expressions and do impressions of whatever's on his mind. This was very early on when making short videos for entertainment was becoming a thing too, rather than getting entertainment from just TV shows or movies, etc. He just got it. He knew it worked very early on. And I would argue that his personality is at least one of the biggest influences as to why online entertainment is what it is today. I don't just mean with comedy though it is important to mention that his type of comedy is almost what you still see today. Back in the day, people's attention span was much longer than it is today. But when Ray was first making his videos, notice how it's very fast-paced and to the point. I'm not sure if this is the best way to describe it, but it almost feels like it's a bunch of memes put into one person's personality and video. I mean, that sure sounds like today's online entertainment still, right? But something I agree that I've seen the internet float around when talking about Ray is he's one of, if not the influence people have today of reacting to other videos or stories. I mean, would this type of video I'm making even be possible if it wasn't for Ray early on commenting his thoughts on videos? I don't really even know why it was addicting to watch, but it was. Us humans, I guess, are just curious creatures that want to hear someone else's thoughts. I guess it's no different from having a really cool story to tell your friend. You can't wait for his or her reaction. Maybe with a fun personality like Ray's, that's what it reminded us of. It felt like we were watching a friend tell us about the funniest or coolest video there is, and we gotta hear it. Which could lead into another cool thing Ray has put influence into. His type of content helped us keep up with what's trending today. And if the goal of this world is to progress and move forward, that's definitely important to know. Keep in touch with what's going on. Learn from these mistakes you wouldn't believe people recorded, or keep a smile on your face and get a good laugh every once in a while, even though you might be going through it. I could probably mention more about his old Equals 3 channel, but I think at this point we have a pretty good understanding of how big of an impact Ray's old channel had to the world. What might go a little unnoticed is how inspiring his own personal story is. And I don't just mean his childhood and how he started Equals 3, even post Equals 3. There's a cool story to learn from. Now, I don't know Ray personally, so I'm not gonna go too into his past story here. There's much more to his story that I don't know of, but from what I've heard online, strictly from this interview that Logan Paul did with Ray, which is worth a listen, by the way, Ray had it pretty rough as a child. Dealt with an alcoholic and drug addict father, abusive father, was never there for Ray, and Ray feels sympathy for those his father hurt. He was inspired not to be like him, and I think it's safe to say he became much more than what his father was. I truly can't imagine how hard that must have been as a child to keep your mind in the right place after growing up and seeing that. You know, it's harder than it looks to not follow the same examples of your family members. I love my family, but I'll admit that there's decisions I've made in the past where I look back and think, yeah, maybe I did that because I wanted to be like my brother or dad or someone. I know they're watching this. I'm not saying what I did was bad. I'm just trying to clarify to the audience. It's hard, as a child especially, to not want to be like your family sometimes. I respect Ray a lot for understanding life is much more than what his dad did. That's all I'm really gonna comment on that. It's a personal story. I'm sure I'll never know the whole story to it, But there's another inspiring story of Ray's that we should learn from. Now, I'm not trying to roast him, I'm just stating, it's also really hard to come back into the spotlight after many years of kind of disappearing. Long story short, there was a point in time where Ray didn't want to continue his old Equals 3 channel. He wanted to pursue other things, like making comedic skits online. And of course, the outside world doesn't get it. How could he quit? He's got millions of followers, views, one of the top YouTube channels in the world to thrive off of, and I love watching his videos. How could he leave us? The classic, you're making a terrible decision to leave this job, city, whatever rant. Nobody liked this idea and desperately wanted to keep Equals 3 alive. It sort of was. Ray just found some new people to host the Equals 3 videos, and going over those separate people is for a different time, but in short, of course everyone's mad because it's not Ray doing the Equals 3 videos. The show's not the same without Ray, yada yada yada, and Equals 3 was no more. I followed Ray still on social media. I could see that his new job was making comedic skits online. Now, I'll admit, I didn't tune into them as much as I did the Equals 3 videos. I know, I'm sorry, Ray. I promise there were videos I did thoroughly enjoy though, like this one. All I can really comment on moments after Equals 3 ended is, it just seemed like Ray sort of disappeared to the online world. Not literally, he still posted content, but it just wasn't talked about as much as his old content. Time had flown by, and I won't sugarcoat it. At this point, Ray's content was a bit of a thing of the past for me. Until he made these TikTok videos. What is Ray's new content he makes now? Funnily enough, it's really not that different from what he made back with Equals 3. It's all just storytelling, crime stories, or just some of the weirdest stuff you'll never believe people did. Sometimes he gives his thoughts on the story, but most of the time, it's just a story to tell. Like, that's kinda it. It's almost like it's an Equals 3 reboot. It's Equals 3, but just modernized into the world today. And everyone loves it, because why wouldn't they? He's got the personality people enjoy listening to and watching. He still adds in humor, and the stories he talks about are just genuinely interesting. It was really great to see Ray make a comeback into the spotlight. I've been keeping up with a lot of his stories, and for me personally, I honestly just don't see how the momentum is going to slow down now. So remember earlier when I said you can learn from his story, both his childhood story and his recent career comeback? To me, I think what we can take from this is, it's up to you to decide who you want to be. Do you want to be what you hate in this world, or do you want to be the change this world needs? Instead of following the footsteps of his father, Ray decided to literally change the world. Like I said earlier, social media wouldn't be what it is today had Ray never thought of a brilliant idea. It's up to you on if you want to give up or not. Ray could have been a thing of the past, but thought of a brilliant idea, and is now back into the spotlight and changing the world. In short, you can be whoever you want to be, and you can make the world whatever you want it to be. But it's up to you on if you want it to happen. It's one fantastic story for me at least to follow up on. So, thank you, Ray William Johnson, for setting an example the world needs to see and for continuously entertaining us with your humor, stories, and quality content. Keep up the great work. And by the way, I never even talked about the music channel, but I'm very familiar with your favorite Martian. My favorite songs from your favorite Martian: Zombie Love Song, Orphan Tears, and Alien. Those are classics.